Well, hello, my friend. Cheers, and welcome to today's edition of Coffee with Kelly, where we're talking all about how to deal when your kids just won't listen. No matter how many times you ask and how many rewards you give them or how many consequences you throw down, they don't care, and they're not listening. Tackling that today. Okay, and today's edition comes all the way from Alberta, Canada, from Catherine, and she asks, do you have any suggestions on how to deal with a child who won't listen during a specific task or time? My 4-year-old son will not follow instructions during bedtime and to get dressed. I've tried most methods to encourage him, rewards, natural consequences, getting at his level. He honestly ignores me as if I don't exist. Oh, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who can fill you on that, and seems not to care about the consequences. Thanks so much. Woohoo! Okay, yeah, Catherine, I think all of us at one time or another has been right there with you. It's so frustrating, especially when you feel like you've tried every trick, quote unquote, in the book, every tip, every strategy, and nothing is working. It's enough to make anybody bananas. And of course, you know me, I'm a big believer in getting to why our kids are doing the things they're doing, so then we can figure out ways to win their cooperation. So just a couple of things just off the top of reasons our kids don't listen to us or tune us out completely. Sometimes we can nag on. I'm not saying you're doing any of these things, but just like in general, I know I've been guilty of every single one in the book, but sometimes we can nag on them or harp at them or be too heavy on the reminders, of course, out of a good place of wanting to teach and to guide, but sometimes like you can only take so much of that, right? And then they just tune us right out. We can also sometimes be guilty of not including them in decisions that matter to them. Instead of involving them and including them and getting their input, we basically just tell them, like, this is how bedtime's gonna go, you need to do, same with morning routine. I think we're all guilty of that, having in our heads the way we think things should go without really asking for any input and how they would like things to go. We basically just tell them what to do and expect that they should just fall in line. And sometimes too, I'm so guilty of this, we can get in the trap of like wanting to win, of wanting to like not necessarily get our way, but get them to do whatever it is we're wanting them to do, completely forgetting about the whole goal of having them cooperate, even if it looks different than maybe the image we had in our head, because we're so obsessed with having them like listen or cooperate. I say cooperate because sometimes when we say cooperate, what we really mean is like we just want them to do what we say when we say it. And then the other thing to consider is they oftentimes don't have the same priorities as us. He obviously in this situation has different priorities than you do. And another one, I know I'm probably gonna get some like angry faces or thumbs down for this, but we don't always listen to our kids. Not that we need to listen to them across the board, but sometimes we can just tune them out because we have a set way or a set agenda, a way that we think things should go. We're not always so great at asking for their input. So I would keep those things in mind because those are all reasons our kids don't listen to us or tune us out. So I think it's important to just be aware of if we're ever falling into one of those categories. So as far as what to actually do, I would recommend dropping everything you're doing. Like everything that you're doing, every strategy you're trying, drop it. Because even though it sounds like you're using some really good strategies, not every strategy works for every child and in every situation. And if you've been trying it for a while and it's not working, forget it. Like really just like release yourself of the pressure to have to do those things or implement those things or keep trying all these things that just make you want to bang your head against the wall. Just release yourself from that pressure. And in truth, what I would recommend doing is the exact opposite. And I know it sounds like so counterintuitive. And what I mean by that is just completely back off. I know, it's like, people start like, oh my gosh, he's never gonna go to school and he's never gonna go to bed. Trust me, people, trust me. Just go with it. It's basically just freeing yourself of the idea that you need to be making him do all that and instead shifting your focus to winning his cooperation. And cooperation is collaborative, right? It's not us just saying do this, do that, which we're all guilty of doing sometimes, right? Especially when it comes to routines, like bedtime routines and breakfast routines and getting out the door routines, we can kind of turn into drill sergeants. And for our strong-willed kids especially, like that does not fly. The more drill sergeant-y we get and the more consequences we try to throw down, the more they're throwing up walls. So forget about all that and just focus on winning his cooperation by working collaboratively together. So what that looks like from a practical standpoint is really involving him in each of these processes that is driving you totally crazy. And the first thing I would do is ask for his help, which will work especially well if you find that the reason he's doing it is because he'd like some more power. He'd like some more say in what's happening to him. He'd like some more independence. Asking for his help is a way to channel that desire for power and channel that desire for control in a really positive way. So just ask him. You can sit down. Bedtime, I know it's becoming so stressful for me. I can tell it's stressful for you. Neither one of us like it. What could make this easier? How do you want bedtime to go? What would you like our bedtime routine to look like? How would you like our mornings to go? What would help you get out the door to school on time? Like just asking those open-ended questions and getting their opinions and working on it together. And this is where like a lot of people will scoff at me like, oh my God, who's the parent here? Who's running the show here? The way I see it, like there's no getting around. If you want peace in your home and you want cooperation, you cannot get it by being a dictator. Like the two are not compatible. So if you're looking for a respectful, cooperative environment, you need to cooperate and show respect to everyone in the house, even the kids. Because nobody likes getting bossed around. Nobody. Somewhere we develop this idea that that's our right as parents to just make all the decisions and do all the deciding, which I think is not only a total crock, but also sets us up for so much fighting and so much stress when we take on that role of being the grand decider, not to mention pressure for making all those decisions. Like we're making so many decisions that we don't need to be making. We can be handing them over to our kids, taking something off of our plate, one less thing for us to worry about, while at the same time beefing up their sense of independence and autonomy and improving their decision-making and problem-solving skills. It's a total win-win in my eyes. That's just my 2 cents anyway. And then from there, after you've had time to really talk about how they would like the routine to go, how they would like bedtime to go, if they want to take over the job of picking out their clothes and getting dressed, you can make a routine chart together. And it doesn't have to be like Pinterest worthy. It can, if you're into that, you can absolutely make it fancy and bedazzled, but it could be as simple as just having a list on the fridge of the routine and the agreed on steps and who's responsible for what, like just something super cash to serve as a reminder and hold you both accountable to what you've agreed on. And then lastly, this is probably actually one of the most important pieces, is if you are making some new agreements of how the morning routine is going to go, or say your son is ready to take on some more responsibility, practice that. Practice when it doesn't matter. Like if you've decided that your son is now going to pick out his own clothes and get dressed before he comes down for breakfast for school, don't wait until Monday morning to practice that. Like wait until you have a span of a couple days, like the weekend is perfect, so you can practice it and work the kinks out before you have a real deadline to get out of the door or before it really, really matters. Because if you wait until that moment and expect everything's just gonna fall in line the first time, oh my God, good luck with that. And I've done that before too. It's like every mistake in the book, I've made it. Just choose a time, whatever your new agreements are, whatever your new routines are, set some time aside so that you can practice them and work through the kinks together. So Catherine, I hope that helps. I know this is a really, really tricky thing to deal with, especially dealing with routines when it's time to go to bed or get out in the morning. It's hard and it's so stressful. But try your best to drop the nagging, drop the reminders, try to get a really good feel for why he's ignoring you and why he's tuning you out. If he is wanting a bit more say and a bit more control into what's happening with him, if you are listening and involving him in the decision making, just be aware of that and then go about problem solving together. Really approaching it from the space of, okay, this isn't working. What should we do? And what do you think? Getting his ideas and getting his input. And then from there, creating some solid routines and some solid agreements as to who's responsible for what and how you're gonna keep each other in track. So best of luck, best of luck. Of course, let me know how it goes. Leave any comments or questions below. And if you would like to have your question answered on an upcoming coffee chat, again, leave it in the comments below. You can DM me on social media, use the hashtag coffeewithkelly, whatevs. You know how to find me, guys. You know how to find me. So until then, I hope you have a great day. I really do. I hope you're having a good one, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.